hello, friends. I'm so glad that I finally got connected. As you can tell, this is my very first video on Instagram, and I'm happy that I'm losing my Instagram virginity with you all, as we may say. Uh, but I want to thank our hostess for the beautiful introduction, which I heard several times
Oh,
trying to
this
to
is
get
probably like our
connected.
fifth time, I think, trying to connect.
Yes, yes. Now, let me ask again, how long do we have together?
We usually do about 20 minutes, if
Okay,
that works
perfect.
out. Yeah.
Yes. And shall I just fill up the time with comments, or do you
Yes.
we okay. All
Well,
right.
I have some questions for you, and we can just kind of follow the flow of that. Well, maybe first, for those that
Yes.
don't know you, you can introduce yourself and give a little background. I mean, I kind of did an introduction, but if you'd like
Yes.
to just tell
Yeah.
people what the Freeman Book Awards are.
Yes. Um, First of all, many years ago, when China was modernizing around 1900, China imported a lot of professors from universities in the United States. And one of these professors was the grandfather of the founder of the Freeman Book Awards. And he went there and decided to teach Chinese students about Western philosophy. And a American businessman approached him and said, "Why are you doing this? We're Americans. Let's make money." So they went out and sold penny insurance to Chinese peasants. And of course, there were a lot of Chinese peasants, and they made money. And this was the start of the big American insurance group, AIG Insurance. Maybe some of you know it. And later, when Mr. Freeman, because it was Professor Freeman, came back to the United States, his he brought his family back to the United States. His son, Houghton Freeman, was surprised to see that nobody in America cared about learning about China, about East Asia. And so he started the Freeman Foundation. You might have seen the name Freeman Foundation on PBS. They fund BBC World News. They also fund a lot of other Asia-related opportunities, like scholarships for study abroad in Asia. They clear landmines in Vietnam and Cambodia. So their focus of the Freeman Foundation is East and Southeast Asia. Now, Mr. Freeman, who eventually ended up in Vermont, wanted school teachers to teach more about East and Southeast Asia. But unfortunately, if you're like me, and my undergraduate degree and one of my graduate degrees is in education, we didn't learn anything about East or Southeast Asia. Maybe for China, we learned about dragons or foot binding or uh, lanterns, Chinese New Year, but we didn't learn anything substantive. So he started what's called the National Consortium for Teaching About Asia, and you can Google that, nctasia.org. So National Consortium for Teaching About Asia. He started this, and it offers all sorts of professional development opportunities for teachers, free professional development, and some of them even pay you to attend. So you might want to check on this. The Freeman Book Awards, named, of course, for our funder, Mr. Freeman, is a way of getting books about East and Southeast Asia, children and young adult literature into the hands of teachers, because not every teacher can attend one of these professional development opportunities. And then organizations, great organizations like Read Your World, helps to pass these books on to others, right? There's about 100 submissions a year to the Freeman Book Awards, and so we do have quite a few books to pass on. The good thing about our website, and again, you can Google Freeman Book Awards, is yes, there are many children's book awards, but our website has curriculum connections and culture notes. and teachers' guides and lesson plans and other resources to help the teaching of these books in your classroom. There are 4 categories: children's literature, K through 5th, and these are picture books. Then there are middle school books and high school books, chapter books. And then there are middle school and high school graphic novels. So there are 4 categories that we cover. Now, how are these evaluated? First, these are evaluated in terms of cultural and historical accuracy, right? Okay. So, excuse me, curriculum specialists read these and see if what they're talking about, the culture, the history, is true. I remember one time there was a wonderful, wonderful storybook about a Japanese fisherman. It was a picture book, but the fisherman's wife was wearing a beautiful silk kimono. As you can imagine, fishermen's wives did not own beautiful silk kimonos. So it's little cultural nuances like that that we look for so that the book is culturally and historically accurate. Once it passes this test with our content specialists, it goes to one of 2 committees, either a children's literature committee or a young adult literature committee. These committees are composed of teachers, school librarians, and teacher educators. Teacher educators are professors of education, usually English, preparing English teachers for elementary and secondary school. And they vet the work for its literary merit, its illustrations, its plot, its characterization, and most importantly, meeting the needs of the intended audience, but most importantly, classroom suitability. So we have a 2-pronged process for evaluation. One is cultural and historical accuracy, and the other is regular, I guess what you'd call, literary evaluation, plus the most important one, classroom suitability. So you can be assured if a book is on the Freeman Book Award list, it is suitable for your classroom.
So, Nancy, how did you get involved with this? I know you said you have a background in education, but how did you get involved with the book awards?
Well, as you can see with my hair, I'm a little bit older. And years ago, and for those of you who are younger, this is going to sound like what? Women only had 5 career choices: nurse, teacher, secretary, wife, nun, a religious person. And it wasn't that you were forbidden for being something else. It was that you couldn't think of it. And that's why diverse literature is so important. Because when I was growing up, and even today, diverse literature is lacking. And so students don't get a chance to see teachers girls doing something else besides the big 5. So what happened was I did my student teaching in the Children's Museum of Boston, going to magnet schools. Then I joined the Navy. I was stationed in Japan. When I came back from Japan, I eventually ended up in what's called educational outreach at the University of Kansas. And many of you might have universities by you that have outreach, going into a classroom and bringing a box of cultural artifacts, that sort of thing. And eventually the Freeman Foundation found me online somehow and asked me to work for them. So for 20 years in Kansas, I helped teachers to teach more about China, Korea, Japan, Vietnam, Brunei, Laos, Cambodia, what we used to call Burma, Myanmar. And Then when I retired from the university, they asked me to take over the Freeman Book Awards. And that's my story.
Amazing. And in that time that you've been working in this space, because you've, as a teacher or later on with the Freeman Book Awards, what do you think, what are the strengths in the children's literature about Asia now? And what do you still see are some of the gaps, either in terms of like age group or genre or what countries get focused on?
Well, interestingly enough, China and Japan are what most of the books are about.
Mm,
And that's because I think people are comfortable with Japan. Um, we have a very romanticized idea of Japan
mm,
because after 1990, when the Japanese economy uh, went into recession, it was no longer seen as an economic threat to America. So for 35 years, Japan has been seen as a kind of Mount Fuji, cherry blossoms, geisha, culturally safe space.
mm,
And of course, the other big content area is China, because China is not seen as a economically safe space.
mm,
So those two are the biggest content areas. We need more information about Southeast Asia, particularly Indonesia, which is like the world's fifth largest economy. It has the most Muslims of any country in the world, has lots of resources, and is a very vibrant, interesting culture. So, and Vietnam, I actually visited it one time.
mm,
And I was interested to learn that children there are not taught that the Vietnam War is America's fault.
mm,
They are taught that the French suckered the stupid Americans into the
huh.
war. So they have a friendly relationship with Americans, not so much with the French. But again, economic, um, years ago there was a president called Bill Clinton, and
Mm,
when he was running for president, one of his campaign managers famously said, "It's the economy, stupid." Um, it's economics really has a profound impact on America's relationship with other countries and other countries' relationships with us. And so uh, Vietnam is becoming one of America's big trading partners. And so we need to know more of it past the war, past
mm,
refugee stories. Oh, that's a good point.
mm,
Lots of times, these young adult books and children's literature have a lot of overcoming diversity stories.
mm.
And that's good. That's very good.
Overcoming adversity.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Uh-huh.
yeah. Getting out of the refugee camp,
Mm,
escaping from China, escaping from North Korea. But there's more to these people and these cultures
right.
than adversity stories. Do you know that, talking about economics again, research shows that big businesses and big law firms that have diverse workers actually do better economically than if they have a more homogeneous
Mm,
workforce. And the reason for that is, and the reason why we want more diverse literature, is that it equips people with other viewpoints. It
mm,
is more tools in their toolbox. It's not a monoculture. We know from agriculture, if we just grow acres and acres of cedar trees, then we're going to have cedar tree blight. It's good to have
mm,
a mixture of trees. It's the
right.
same thing with people. We need to learn more and celebrate more about other peoples, not just the dominant culture.
What are you hearing from teachers, or I don't know how much interaction you have as far as what kinds of things they're looking for their classroom?
I think any teacher nowadays wants resources for teaching a book. whether they're
Mhm.
social studies teachers, literature teachers, English teachers, art teachers who use a lot of picture books. They want resources. It's not enough to say, this is a wonderful book and a wonderful story. How do you use it? Right?
Mhm.
And teachers don't have time to be creating all their resources from scratch. So
Right.
they really want these books, but they really want resources. Yeah.
And just to mention again, on the Freeman Book Awards website, that you have those kinds of resources that the teachers are looking for to be able
Yes.
to not just to find these books, but to actually put them, create a
Right.
lesson plan around them in the classroom.
Yes, and if you, like on many websites, there's a search box on the upper right-hand corner. And if you type the words culture notes or type the word curriculum connections into the search box, it will give you lists of all the book awards that have these resources. Because, of course, um, we not every book has the resources. We're working towards that, but not we're backfilling the
Mhm.
resources. So we have people working on that now. Yeah.
Well, thank you for taking the time to talk with us. And just to wrap up, are there any favorite books that you've seen? Either I know that must be really hard to pick out some, but are there some in particular that you'd like to mention of the ones that you've seen as part of the book awards?
Well, I really appreciate, there are a lot of Asian American stories now set in America. Those are not applicable to the Freeman Book Awards,
Mhm.
right? There's an Asian American book award,
Mhm.
right? But when an Asian American or any American goes to Asia and experiences the history and culture, that story, that narrative is eligible for a Freeman Book Award.
Mhm.
And I would like to mention My Mother, the Mermaid Catcher, and My Father, the Panda Killer. These are high school books, and they're precisely that. They're about Asian Americans, and they went back to Vietnam to look into their family's culture. And I think we'll see more books like that coming out in the future. These are very exciting to me because one of the challenges we have is what's called divided heart literature.
Mhm.
Who do you belong to? Are you, in this case, Vietnamese? Are you Vietnamese American? Where do you fit in,
Mhm.
right? And it doesn't have to be an ethnicity divided heart. It could be a divided heart in terms of religion or in terms of socioeconomic status. So I think books that address this and show how people deal with these kinds of issues are very exciting for students. So I'd like to recommend just these two. But of course, there are others on the website.
Yes, and I encourage everybody to go look at the website. As you mentioned, you can just find lists from every year of the winners in all these different categories. It's for all ages up through high
Yeah.
school, and
Mhm.
all different kinds of books.
Right.
And
Right.
as you mentioned, the resources, which is what
Right.
the teachers
Right.
are really looking for. And
Let me let me just mention a children's picture book real
yes,
quickly.
yes.
18 Vats of Water. This is a
Mhm.
story about a young boy in around 700, so 1300 years ago
Mm.
in China, and he wants to be a calligrapher. And he practices so much that he makes so much ink to practice. It's 18 big vats of ink. And what is good about this, lots of teachers teach about calligraphy and kids try out calligraphy, but his determination,
Yes.
his stick to itness, his focus is something that our students need nowadays. So this book, as a picture book, can be taught on many levels, not just about calligraphy, but about the focus that our children need nowadays. So I recommend, that's another favorite book of mine. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And when I put this on YouTube, I will make sure to include those in the notes. I can put
Okay.
those in the caption. So
Yes.
thank you for taking the time to talk with us, and but especially to stick with it. But for those that are just joining us, Nancy and I worked together for, I don't know, 20 or 30 minutes trying to get through all the glitches. So thank you for being
Yes.
so persistent and
Well,
sticking with it.
it's been my pleasure.
Mhm.
I'm so appreciative of the hard work that Read Your World does. It's a professional organization. It's not fly by night at all. It will endure and grow and help to bring more diverse literature to our students. So right on to Read Your World. Thank you so much for your efforts.
Well, thank you for this interview and for all that you do with the Freeman Book Awards. I think we feel the same way, and I appreciate all the support we've gotten and the work that you all are doing. So thank you so much. And thanks to everybody who's watching. We appreciate you because you're the ones who also make this happen. And if you're joining us late, this whole video will be up on Instagram in just a few minutes and later up on our YouTube channel. So thanks to all of you. And thanks, Nancy. This is really wonderful.
Appreciate it. Look forward to doing it again.
All right. Bye,
Okay.
everybody.
Goodbye. Bye.